On April 23, 2026, the eastern Indian state of West Bengal held the first phase of its legislative assembly election. Defying extreme humidity and a climate of intense political friction, an astonishing 90. Through an administrative revision, the voting population shrank from 7.69 down to 6.86 crore. 11.88% vanished. Zooming in on that missing segment, the human cost is clear. Nearly 9 million voters had their rights deleted. To understand the 2026 West Bengal election, we have to look closely at this exact collision, the intense friction between extreme political mobilization on the streets and cold algorithmic exclusion in the data servers. Driving the mobilization effort is Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee. Her defense is built upon a massive 15-year architecture of direct welfare schemes. Her primary challenger is the BJP's Suvendu Adhikari, whose contrasting platform centered on a promise of total industrial and economic overhaul. Back in 2021, Adhikari secured an upset victory over Banerjee in the rural constituency of Nandigram. In 2026, the battleground shifted. The BJP fielded Adhikari directly against Banerjee in Bhabanipur, her home turf in Kolkata's dense urban belt, turning the political race into a deeply personal revenge match. This intense ideological and personal rivalry became the catalyst for the entire election cycle. With the stakes this high, both parties began promising almost anything to secure a vote. The contest quickly evolved into an economic bidding war. Banerjee's Trinamool Congress introduced direct cash transfers, offering monthly stipends of 1,500 rupees to youth, and expanding existing financial aid for women. The BJP countered with an offer of 3,000 rupees a month for unemployed youth, but anchored their true pitch in heavy industry. They promised to generate 1 crore jobs over 5 years and build 4 major industrial zones to halt the mass migration of young workers. Anticipating the extreme volatility this bidding war would cause across the state, the Election Commission of India made a drastic logistic pivot. They compressed West Bengal's traditional, drawn-out 8-phase voting schedule down to just 2 massive polling days. But compressing the schedule required an unprecedented concentration of physical force. To secure the first phase alone, the commission mobilized the largest deployment of central paramilitary personnel in the state's history. Yet, while the politicians, the media, and the massive security apparatus were entirely focused on managing eligible voters on the ground, a quiet crisis was already unfolding in the Election Commission's data servers. Prior to the election, the state conducted a Special Intensive Revision, or SIR. On paper, this was a routine administrative exercise meant to clean the voter lists of duplicates and deceased citizens. In practice, it suffered from an algorithmic problem. Minor textual mismatches during the digitization of documents, like spelling a name as MD instead of Mohammed, incorrectly flagged millions of valid citizens as undocumented or invalid. This chart shows the demographic skew. Muslims make up 27% of the population, but 34% of total deletions. Furthermore, nearly 6 million flagged voters were placed into administrative limbo, their voting rights suspended without proper legal notice, while officers reviewed their paperwork. The opacity of this process triggered multiple petitions, prompting the Supreme Court of India to intervene. The court ordered the Election Commission to let individuals vote if their appeals were cleared by appellate tribunals. But those tribunals quickly became a bottleneck. Look at this funnel chart representing the safety net. Out of 3.4 million applications and appeals processed before Phase 1, the tribunals legally cleared exactly 139 individuals to vote. The digital bureaucracy collapsed under its own weight. Long before the first ballot was cast, the administrative system effectively overrode the political process by stripping away the foundational rights of millions of people. Which brings us back to the reality of polling day. Despite the stifling April heat, and despite the chaos of the algorithmic deletions, the electorate defied the friction. In border districts like Malda and Murshidabad, the areas hit hardest by the SIR crisis and voter suspensions, turnout didn't drop, it surged, reaching nearly 90%. They utilized the only tool they had left to reclaim their identity when the system tried to erase it. The final results of this megapoll will serve as a massive stress test for Indian federalism, deciding whether Eastern India leans toward a state-funded welfare model or a centrally aligned industrial economy. But the darker legacy of the 2026 cycle lies in the administrative mechanics. It exposed the fragile intersection where rapid digitization meets fundamental citizenship. The West Bengal election proves that the greatest threat to a modern democracy might not be political violence or corruption at the ballot box. It may simply be the quiet algorithmic erasure of a citizen's right to exist.